Welcome back to another Mr. Mashup video, and this time we'll be looking at all the different spider people featured in Madame Web, the greatest movie of all time. First we'll talk about Las Aranas, a hidden tribe of spider people found in the Peruvian Amazon rainforest. The only one given a name in the movie is this guy, Santiago. This group's spider powers come from the bite of a species of super spiders native to the region, and apart from getting the usual super abilities of a spider person, they can also release a deadly neurotoxin by touch. Now this might be a bit of a stretch, but Santiago may or may not be based on Miguel Santiago, one of the few people who became Tarantula in the comics, who also uses poison laced onto his retractable blades and is a Hispanic spider-themed character. Next we'll talk about Ezekiel Sims, a guy who gained spider powers from one of the super spiders from Peru that we just talked about. And with that power, he eventually became extremely wealthy over the years, but at the same time cursed with the vision of his own death. His set of powers are similar to the aforementioned Las Aranas, including having a poisonous touch. In the comics, however, despite having fought Spider-Man, Ezekiel was not an outright villain, but more of a complicated character. And Madame Web was not his first cinematic appearance, as he was already featured in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse as the Spider Therapist, where you could see his name written on his doctoral diploma. Next is the titular character of the movie, Madame Web. Her real identity is Cassandra Webb, a former paramedic. Cassie was initially diagnosed with an incurable neuromuscular disease while inside the womb, but her mother's exposure to the super spider venom in Peru cured Cassie of her disease, and despite not obtaining the typical spider abilities like super strength and wall climbing, etc., her precognitive abilities surpassed way beyond the level of any other spider person's sixth sense, even reaching the level of clairvoyance. She even developed the ability to create physical astral projections of herself by connecting to the web of life. And towards the end of the movie, Cassie ended up as a blind paraplegic in a wheelchair due to injuries from her confrontation with Ezekiel Sims. This makes her more similar to her comic counterpart, who is blind and paralyzed to begin with due to her congenital neuromuscular condition that was never cured. Next, we'll start talking about the three young spider women. The first one is Julia Carpenter, who in the movie still went by her birth name Julia Cornwall. She's a teenager who is visioned by both Cassandra Webb and Ezekiel to become Spider-Woman in the future. One of her unique abilities featured in the movie is creating psionic webs, just like in the comics. And this is actually Julia's second cinematic appearance, since she previously appeared in a non-speaking cameo in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Now we'll move on to the next future Spider-Woman, Matty Franklin. She's a rebellious teenager who also happens to be the niece of J. Jonah Jameson. In the movie, one of her unique powers envisioned to one day happen is the ability to grow 4 spider legs out of her back, just like in the comics. And then we have Anya Corazon, the kid who will one day become Arana, another one of the future Spider-Women. She is depicted as a highly intelligent person who can rapidly perform complex mental calculations in her head. In the future, after obtaining her spider abilities, she'll be using a spider bowler, which is a unique yo-yo-like equipment that could be used for multiple functions. Her first cinematic appearance was also in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which showcased another one of her unique abilities from the comics, the formation of a protective blue exoskeleton around her body. But let's not forget, there's one other future spider person in the movie, which is baby Peter Parker himself, who gets born by his mother towards the end of the movie. He will one day become the Spider-Man that we're all familiar with, and has been referenced in other Sony Spider-Man related movies set in the future.